If you want to understand wealth, ignore the loud stories. Ignore the headlines about people getting rich overnight. Ignore the viral posts about perfect investments. Ignore the constant advice telling you to move faster, take bigger risks, and chase the next opportunity. Because most real wealth is built in a way that almost nobody pays attention to. Quietly. In fact, if you pass someone who is slowly becoming wealthy, there's a good chance you wouldn't notice anything unusual about them at all. They don't look extraordinary. They don't talk about money constantly. They don't seem like they're making bold financial moves. Their life often looks normal. And that's exactly why the process works. Because the system that builds real wealth doesn't rely on dramatic decisions. It relies on structure. Most people approach money reactively. When income rises, spending rises with it. A raise becomes a lifestyle upgrade. A bonus becomes a reward. A better job becomes a signal to improve everything around you. None of these decisions feel irresponsible. In fact, they feel reasonable. But slowly, almost invisibly, lifestyle begins to expand until it absorbs nearly every improvement in income. So even though someone may earn more than ever before, their financial position barely changes. They feel successful, but they're still dependent on the next paycheck. Meanwhile, the people who actually build wealth tend to follow a very different pattern. And from the outside, it doesn't look impressive. When their income grows, they don't rush to expand their lifestyle. They allow their income to grow faster than their spending. At first, the difference seems small. A little money saved each month. A modest investment account slowly building in the background. Nothing dramatic. Nothing worth bragging about. Which is exactly why most people underestimate it. But something important is happening beneath the surface. Because money that isn't constantly spent begins to form a system. Savings turn into investments. Investments begin producing returns. And eventually those returns begin producing returns of their own. This is where compounding enters the picture. And compounding has a strange characteristic. It hides its power in the early years. At the beginning, progress feels slow. Sometimes painfully slow. You save money, but the numbers barely move. You invest consistently, but the results feel small. Years can pass without any visible transformation. Which is exactly why most people interrupt the process. They start chasing faster results. They switch strategies. They react to headlines. They abandon patience for action. And each time they do this, they reset the momentum that compounding was slowly building. But the people who quietly build wealth tend to do something very different. They protect the system. They continue investing when markets feel boring. They continue saving when progress feels slow. They resist the pressure to constantly upgrade their lifestyle. And perhaps most importantly, they refuse to turn their financial life into a series of emotional reactions. Because wealth rarely grows in environments filled with chaos. It grows in environments filled with stability, consistency, patience. Over long periods of time, those quiet habits begin to separate people in ways that are almost invisible at first. Two people may earn similar incomes for years. They live in the same world, face the same opportunities. But one of them quietly builds a system that allows money to compound. The other simply spends what they earn as their lifestyle expands. For a long time, the difference between them is almost impossible to see. Both appear successful. Both appear comfortable. But 10 or 15 years later, their realities begin to diverge. One person is still dependent on their income to maintain their lifestyle. The other has something quietly working in the background. Assets, investments, income that doesn't require their constant effort. And the shift didn't come from one brilliant decision. It came from hundreds of small choices that looked boring while they were happening. Saving instead of spending. Investing instead of upgrading. Waiting instead of reacting. The truth is, the strategy that builds real wealth rarely feels exciting enough to trust. It doesn't create dramatic stories. It doesn't provide instant proof. And it requires ignoring a world that constantly encourages you to do the opposite. Which is why so few people stay on that path long enough to see what it actually produces. But the ones who do often end up with something most people spend their entire lives chasing: freedom. If you want to learn more about the quiet strategies and hidden systems behind real wealth, subscribe to the channel.